tenemos una sorpresa especial en esta edición del programa. Una sorpresa, y quería dar la bienvenida a Chemaco de Batacas.com. Bienvenido, Chemaco. ¿Cómo
Muchas
estás?
Gracias, Lucas. Bien, encantado de estar aquí.
Para nosotros es un placer teneros porque, bueno, yo ya cuando llevaba mi trayectoria profesional como batería, de los primeros pilares digamos, portales importantes en Internet, creo que sois pioneros en eso, sí. Batacas.com.
Efectivamente, Batacas.com lleva ahora un poquito más de 11 años en la red y efectivamente somos el portal referencia de batería y percusión desde hace bastantes años.
¿En qué centráis exactamente el portal a que va dirigido? Sabemos que a baterías, evidentemente.
Sí, por supuesto. En teoría, la idea que tenemos nosotros desde el principio es que la gente a la que le gusta la batería, a la percusión, tenga un sitio donde sabe que están allí las noticias. Si entra, sabe que está. Lo que pasa en el mundo de la batería y de la percusión está reflejado en Batacas, tanto en el portal, que es el sitio donde aparecen esas noticias o esos eventos, como en el foro, que es el sitio donde se hace un poco más la vida social, donde los usuarios hablan entre ellos y debaten sus cositas.
Genial. Estamos súper agradecidos, aparte de todo, también por la participación y el apoyo que nos estáis dando, porque nosotros estamos pioneros, acabamos de arrancar un proyecto televisivo, como bien sabéis, y eso siempre de agradecer pues, la participación tanto por nuestra parte, que acabamos de crecer, como por vuestra parte con toda la trayectoria que lleváis. Tenemos a Russ Miller este mes, que nos traéis, además, lo traéis vosotros, y nos encantaría que me hablaras un poco, nos hablaseis de cómo se hizo esa entrevista, dónde tuvisteis la oportunidad, porque todos sabemos, sobre todo los baterías, que es un poco más difícil el acceder a ese tipo de figuras que vienen internacionales.
Correcto, pero nosotros tenemos la suerte de contar en el país con determinados eventos o festivales grandes, como puede ser en este caso el Festival de La Rioja, que es donde nosotros, gracias a la organización que se portó estupendamente bien con nosotros, fuimos al festival, y en el festival grabamos a prácticamente todos los bateristas que habían allí y pudimos entrevistarlos. Entonces, en este caso fue cuando pudimos coger a Russ Miller y hacerle una entrevista, que, todo se ha dicho, fue gracias a Chiqui Marín o a Jairo Ubiaño, que estaban allí y nos hicieron el favor de, al final, quieras que no, también somos una pequeña familia.
Sí, por
Entonces,
supuesto.
Esa pequeña familia de la que tú formas parte, pues tenéis esa posibilidad, ¿no? Es decir, oye, ¿alguien va a La Rioja? Sí, pues yo voy. Oye, ¿a ti te importaría? Claro, encima no solo es que no te importaría, es que si te dicen, oye, ¿puedes entrevistar a Gavin Harrison? Pues claro, no es que pueda, es que quiero. Entonces, viene muy bien porque están esas dos vertientes, ¿no? Se lo puedes pedir a la gente del foro, de la página, y además a ellos les gusta. Y ya te digo, tuvimos la oportunidad en La Rioja de hacer esa entrevista gracias a estos dos, y espero que os guste.
No, genial. Pues te damos las gracias desde aquí, desde Mr. Online Dance TV, y invitamos a que entréis al portal de Batacas, batacas.com, a través también de las redes sociales, de Facebook, Twitter. Bueno, muchos ya lo conocéis, pero para esos poquitos que no los conozcáis, ahí tenéis ese grandísimo portal de pioneros en España y de hace muchísimo tiempo. ¿Y qué te parece si damos paso a la entrevista?
Me parece magnífico.
Pues venga, bienvenido, gracias.
A vosotros por estar aquí.
You know, I was around my grandparents a lot, and my grandfather, he had played drums when he was very young, but he didn't really continue and play. But he was a great music enthusiast, like he loved music. So he was always playing music, and I grew up around actually listening and playing big band music first, and then playing, you know, rock later when I got older. But you know, probably him, and I had a family member that played drums and a friend of mine. And I actually started on guitar, and it took me like 7 months to learn the theme to Batman. So I figured that wasn't for me. So I said, you know, I think I want a drum set. And it just, you know, I got a plastic drum set, like from, you know, a catalog, and I broke it like in one day. But yeah, that was it. I was 8 years old. Well, I started taking lessons when I was 8, and I have never stopped. I've taken lessons my whole life. I still take lessons with Peter Erskine, who I study with now. But so I started taking lessons, and I did that. And at about 15 years old, I started playing with a band in clubs. And they were all older. They were all like 40 years old, and I was like 15. And my grandparents and my mom they would take me to the gig because I couldn't even drive a car yet. They would take me to the gig, and then they'd wait till 2 in the morning until I was done, and then take me home. God, bless their heart. But yeah, so from 15 on, I started to play, and I always, knew that's what I wanted to do. And that's all I've done my whole life. I mean, there's been moments where when I was in college or whatever, I had to work at, a restaurant, or I had to valet park cars, but in my brain, I think the difference was I was always a drummer who had to work at a restaurant this week. I was never someone working in a restaurant who wanted to be a drummer. I think that was always. Yeah, well, I think that for me, I always went into each situation with 2 things in mind. That I was hired to be, if I was playing with the Psychedelic Furs, then I was hired to be a rock drummer with this rock band. And I didn't need to bring along the baggage of other things, like, oh, well, that's easy for me to play because I can play with Al Jarreau or Bobby, or play on a movie and I can read, I never brought that. Like, I just went, okay, today I'm hired to do this. So I'm going to do that the best that I possibly can. And then I think the second component of that was that I always looked for the art in what I'm doing. And there's a true art in each thing. Playing with Andrea Bocelli, there's an art. There's an art to playing on a movie soundtrack and understanding what's required there, not overplaying, changing even the feel of what you do. Like, you can't apply as much feel in a movie soundtrack because so many things are going to get put on top of it. It has to be more with the click and straight ahead and everything really locked in, and and so, just having experience and doing those things and knowing that I wanted to find the art in the situation. Even if it was a rap record, where it would be more difficult to find the art in that than Andrea Bocelli with the Vienna Symphony, but there's an art to it, and there's something that's required to do it really well. So I would look for that and then do the best that I could to do it. I mean, in theory there isn't, but there is a different attitude. I think that guys who only play live, I think they don't quite get the understanding of how precise something needs to be if you want to hear it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? So
that's only the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's things that you do live where it's mostly a visual experience. Because I'm not going to do that in the studio or something. But I mean, for me, it was understanding. I mean, I pretty much play the same, other than those little moments where I know it's live, and there might be something that I do that adds like an entertainment element to it. Because I think a lot of drummers forget that, it's the music business and not the drum business, because they just give you so much drums. But besides that, I think some people get so wrapped into like trying to do something here that they forget, like, someone has to listen to this, man. You know what I mean? Like,
when you will finish,
yeah,
you have to hear it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we have to hear this thing. Like, what does this actually sound like? And are you connecting with these people? So I think the hardest thing about recording is that there's no immediate feedback. Whereas like a show, you play, there's a feedback. Either they don't clap or they do clap, But a recording, you can play like brilliant, amazing, and it's just, that's it.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's it.
That's all?
And then maybe you hear it on the radio later and go, okay, that sounds good. But, that's the difference. But I think a lot of guys will say, you know, I'm mostly a live player. I don't sound that good in the studio. And it's like, well, you probably don't sound good live either, but we don't have to hear it again. Because in the studio, we got to keep hearing it over and over again. So I think if you can practice refining your playing and knowing what it actually sounds like and feels like to as an audience receiving that, you know, I think that that's the key, and connecting in that way. You know, the great drummers in history grew up, most of them like big band and jazz and drummers, you know, and back then, you know, they would go to a club and then play in a big dance hall and then play on TV and play. They knew how to play the room, like what was required to play the room. You don't play the same volume in this room as you do in the stadium room. You know, I mean, you are appropriate to like what the sound is. And I think, you know, for me, that's the key. Well, I was playing on American Idol, so that's not filming or anything. So we're, you know, hopefully that'll happen then when it starts again next year. But right now, the last movie that came out that I did is Percy Jackson and Sea of Creatures, just came out, and another one is called The Colony, which is Lawrence Fishburne and Bill Paxton. That's next month. That comes out, and I have a TV show called Continuum. It's a sci-fi show that I play on every week. And then I have, you know, the TV show Idol, if I'm playing on mentor sessions for Idol. And then I just have a brand new solo album with my band, the Arrival Trio Band. And so that comes out in November. And yeah, and we're starting Avatar 2 and 3.
2 and 3 together?
Yeah, they're doing those together. Yeah, and yeah, so a lot of different stuff, and yeah, I have some shows coming with my band, and yeah, there's a Korean artist that I'm touring with, Lim Hoanil. He's a famous Korean singer, so I did the record for that, and I'm going to go over and do some shows with him, and just again, it's so varied, you know.
You're a little busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's good. The other thing really quick is, you know, I just did new lesson packs for Drum Guru. So on the Drum Guru app, you can download new lesson packs. And those are all the must-know grooves that every drummer has to know. 3 volumes of them has been released that everybody needs to know these grooves to get through different, whatever, a session or a gig or whatever. And then really quick, I actually have at russmiller.com, I have an entire online school starting in about 2 months, where you send in a video, you enroll in the school, and then you send in a video of you playing with your goals and what you want to work on, or what you were working on, or whatever. And then I look at it, I analyze it, and I send you back your course list. Okay, download these videos in this order and work through all of those, and you know, start to work on your goal and get through that. And there's 120 classes, 20 minutes each. There's 6 camera, HD, beautiful, in a recording studio. So, and we went over everything from, you know, this is a rough to, you know, double bass, you know, whatever. So it's an entire curriculum. So that's the 2 big things, instructional-wise, it's coming out.
Another 2 big things.
Another couple things, yeah. Other than that, I haven't been doing anything.